Great way to do it is to practice on the people in your household, just so they know kind of what to do. They're comfortable with situations like that. I think with all this preparedness, it's very good to have a talk with your family.
The next section, which talks about basic first aid. Can you explain the tourniquet to people? Because for a long time I had no idea what that was.
It basically is a thing that goes over your like a sleeve that goes over your arm. Let's say like you get stabbed, upper or like in your bicep or whatever, and then like or shot, and then like they you go to the highest point of the limb, and then you start twisting it where it like cuts off the circulation to the rest of the limb so you don't bleed out. And you can
So
do that
that
in the
that's
leg.
that's basically what it's for, like isolating a limb.
Yes.
Okay,
Cutting off circulation so that you can get to the hospital and they can fix whatever's going on and you don't bleed it out.
good
Yeah,
point. So
you
that's
can put
important.
on your
I seen it in movies, but I didn't know that was a tourniquet and what they were trying to do. So you're saying there you want to cut off circulation because otherwise, yeah, you'd be bleeding out and probably get knocked out after a while. So
You can do that with the t-shirt, you like you rip your t-shirt in half and then you pour, you wrap it around somebody's arm and you tighten it very hard. You should probably use a stick as leverage. But there's kits already. You don't want to be doing that in a hurry. You don't know what you're doing maybe, but there's kits. There's different kinds. There's Israeli bandage, I think it's called, and then the regular tourniquet. We met a guy in the airplane. The guy that was sitting next to us, he had a tourniquet on him in case anything happens to anybody else or himself.
yeah, because you can
Um,
carry it everywhere. It's a small
small.
item.
It's like this big.
nice. Okay, so that's important to have on hand. Um, there's probably a you already mentioned a first aid kit. You can check out our website and our manual will kind of give you more details, or you can just buy our already made one, right? Do you guys? This is a good place to also talk about maybe CPR and emergency responses.
I think it's important to know how to do that, and we've all done some kind of, in school or whatever, they teach you a little bit how to do that, but you want to refresh that once in a while, your knowledge of it and exactly how to do it. And again, you can just watch simple videos, you can take a class again, but you can practice. Also, a great way to do it is to practice on the people in your household, just so they know kind of what to do. They're comfortable with situations like that. I think with all this preparedness, it's very good to have a talk with your family, kind of say, hey, not to scare anybody, like to scare your kids or anything like that. Obviously, you want to encourage them and make them feel like that they're gonna be
Safe.
okay and safe. But it's very important to have that plan, because it's mentally it's gonna not gonna be so shocking if it does happen. Then they're like, oh, this is what we talked about. So this is the steps that we take. We're gonna go downstairs, grab the you know our the stuff. We have the water, we have whatever we need. It depends on the situation. They're okay. Power goes out, it's dark. Hey, it's okay, we got the lighting system and we're gonna turn on all these lights, and you guys are it's all good.
That way they feel safe and they know what to do in every situation, and they can say, parents can say, we have everything, we just need to learn how to use it beforehand, so when something does happen, it's just like we practiced.
And it's a
Yeah,
great way to interact with them and kind of show them some of the things, how they work, and I think that would be awesome.
but I mean, I think we can't stress this enough. CPR, because I've taken a course on CPR, but it's been a long time. If I had to do it, I don't think I would know how to do it. even though I know the principles. So I think it's important. They, like you see, I said, you got to practice and maybe really like almost muscle memory. And this doesn't have to be during an emergency like situation. It could happen any moment with your kid, like he chokes on something,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
or other scenarios at a pool or something. So this is important in any time to be able to. You should really be retraining yourself probably all the time, every 2 3 months, because especially for kids it's different than an adult how to do CPR, right? So
Yeah.
so I think we can't stress that enough, that you should really brush up on that continuously. And like you guys said, if you prepare with your family when maybe when those scenarios do come up, then muscle memory kicks in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you may know how to do it, but you're gonna be in so much panic you're gonna probably not remember how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. People freeze in those situations, and there's
You
been
guys
situations.
remember we had a discussion with one of our friends who's a former Navy SEAL slash Delta Force, and he was saying that the best one of the best things you should do is like almost put yourself in those scenarios ahead of these emergency situations, so you almost give yourself a dose of that
Mhm.
adrenaline, because that's the only way you're going to know what to do in that moment. You
Yeah.
guys remember that he called it
Yeah.
like self, like a vaccine of a dose of that panic,
The fear.
or
Yeah.
of the fear. And
Yep.
that's an important factor. And I think that almost ties into everything we are talking about, because we can talk about it and you can read about it, but really should be practicing it maybe every 2 3 months. That's why I
Yeah.
remember in the corporate world you have fire drills, you know,
Yeah.
because you want the employees to know what to do. Every 2 3 months they do a fire drill, so they remember. Anyway,
Do you
Yeah.
remember the nuclear blast drills we used to do in school? We would like go like this underneath our desks. Like that would help us if there was a nuke. We'd all be pulverized. Remember that?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We used to do tornado drills and all kinds of stuff.
Well, is
Um.
the drill is more like muscle memory, right? That's what
Yeah.
we're talking about essentially.
Well, I just thought about it. You could do like a very quick practice run once in a while with your family, where you turn off the power panel, in your house. You
The
like,
breaker, yeah.
yeah, in the evening, and say, "Hey guys, let's see what would happen if we have no lights, no power, no, anything. How are we gonna do it? How are we gonna? Maybe you could do like a fun thing where you like start like cooking on that portable thing, and do a meal like that. Just kind of like do a practice run, and I think that would be cool.
I think you should put almost like an alarm in your calendar every 2 3 months to maybe have a 2 3 hour session with your family to go over
Hmm.
this stuff, like almost like a drill.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I know that sounds really paranoid and crazy, but I think it's those details that will make a huge difference in a scenario like an emergency.
That's the thing,
So
because preppers are seen by the mainstream, as kind of like paranoid, and like you're saying, and they're
Wackos.
yeah, but and
Fringe.
they're like very extreme on this stuff, and they're stressed out about everything that's happening, whatever. Well, that's not true. They're actually preparing, and then when the stuff does happen, the rest of families that didn't prepare, they're going to be very paranoid and stressed out because they don't know what to do. Those days going to be laughing all the way through because they already that's what they've been preparing for, and
yeah,
they're okay.
I mean, there's an old saying that you don't plan to fail. People don't plan to fail; they just fail to plan, right? If you guys,
Yeah.
so it's important
Yeah.
to plan ahead so you don't fail.
Yeah.
And God, like we said in the last episode, Lord willing, we hope you'll never. This is one of those things where we hope you'll never get to use these skills. That would be the best scenario. I mean, train and maybe spend some money, and we hope you'll never get to use it. But that's a good thing in this case.
Yeah. It's like
All right,
insurance.
so Yep. So let's move on to the next one, shelter.
So shelter is your your house, apartment, whatever you're at. Obviously, you want to know what's the safest part of it in case there is tornado coming through and other disasters like that. But in case you have to leave the area, then that would be a totally different scenario. So that's where the bug out bags that you were mentioning earlier, that's where it comes in. You want to have these bags ready to go. Um, and
Lifetime.
yeah, life tent, you have to have everything in there that your family, again, you want to be able to survive for a while, whether it's in another area, you go to a relative, a friend, or you might have to, in the most extreme case, go outside, like at a park and camp out. So that's, hopefully, again, that never happens. But if you got, you have to evacuate your home. What do you do if you're not prepared at all? What if the car is not working? What if there was an EMP attack and it's like everything's fried? Like there's no gas stations working. Then you're gonna have to figure out something with bikes on foot. So you have to think about transportation too in those cases. But I would say, yeah, have a way of having a separate shelter or another spot that again, you can scope out some of the parks that are close to you. That's what I've been doing, and there's water sources usually there. You just have to think ahead, what would happen in the worst case scenario, and then you go from there.
Okay. So definitely, this is another chapter that's in our manual. You should definitely check it out for more in-depth detail. We're also going to be available if you have more questions through email and stuff. But what I heard, some of the things that you mentioned. So the chapter talks about securing your home. So probably having locks on. I don't know. In certain scenarios, people may be looting. I don't know, and you should have a way to
Yeah,
lock down your house, right? But I think what you mentioned is important, that you should identify ahead of time maybe an alternative place to go and be safe, right? So you should kind
yeah,
of look around your neighborhood and eye that scenario. It could be, I don't know, maybe a garage that's somebody has, and I don't know, in the neighborhood that you could kind of escape there if you need to.
yeah.
Um,
This goes back to building friends and community also, like where you have some friends. Like for example, we have a few spots that we already know. If things go bad here close to downtown Cleveland, which there's more likely something crazy could happen in a big city, we have a few different spots that are not too far, but they're more secluded. Like we have a few friends and family that we already talked to. Hey, if something goes bad in our area, we're gonna come to your place. If something happens to you, you come to us, and we already know that. We already have that in plan.
yep. I was going to suggest another idea that what I have in mind. I have a park nearby, and they have a pavilion, right? Which, if somehow my house is destroyed, that's the scenario I would look to, and I could walk there. They have a pavilion there that I could probably make a fire. There's a
Mhm.
bathroom, etc., etc. So that would be my suggestion in my scenario.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, let's move on to personal security and
Defense.
protection. That's another chapter.
Danny, you wanna chime in a little bit on this with how to protect yourself in those situations where there could be somebody that wants something from you. Maybe they know you have some goods in those times, and they are going door to door, or it's a scary scenario.
Yeah, get a baseball bat and put spikes on it. Uh, if you can buy a gun and train with it. Um, I would say a shotgun would be probably the best for a home invasion situation. You don't have to be a good shot. You don't really have to train with it. You just point it in the direction that people are coming at, and unfortunately, they'll have holes in their bodies. Um, sorry,
It'll be the Swiss cheese.
sorry, huh?
So
Swiss
Yeah,
cheese.
yeah.
so
It's kind of dark, but
basically, basically get get a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, not everybody's comfortable. I understand. Not everybody's comfortable with guns. So if you're in that situation where we highly recommend it, and especially in America, you're able to get one fairly easy, depending on what state you're in, whatever. But
You
yeah,
can also, there are alternatives. There are in areas that you cannot have a gun in America, which is really weird. Um, there are pepper guns, and then there's these balls that what's it called? Rubber bullets. You can get that. You can also um, there's a thing. So that's firearms. So in certain areas, you're not allowed to have firearms, and that's an actual fire. You know, the hammer and hitting the thing, and it creates a fire, and that's why it's called a firearm. But there are ways of getting high powered rifles that are not firearms. Like for instance, the Umerix hammer is a rifle that's a 50 caliber. You can take down bears with that, and it's not a firearm. It's actually CO2, and you can actually pump it yourself. You don't actually have to keep getting cartridges. That is a good good one. Now you would have to look into your jurisdiction and see if they have a law against that or whatever. Um, but it's not technically a firearm, and it's called a big bore um, rifle.
Yep.
And yeah, that's a good
and then of
option.
course you got tasers and other ways of
Pepper spray.
yeah.
Yeah, mace spray and bear spray.
I urge our audience to check out our to really check out our book that's very that dives a lot deeper into all of these. I mean, we're limited on time here to go into all of these strategies, but we want to at least bring some awareness that you maybe didn't even think about, and hopefully you can dive deeper using our manual or other manuals or sources online. It's all good. We just want to pique your interest and make you aware. Okay. The next thing we want to discuss real quick is the bug out bags, which you already brought up. What are some key takeaways for that?
It's just it's a book bag that is has everything inside of it that you would need if you had to leave the house. Like you would have a couple tents in there, which are very small. You can fit in there. You would have food to go. You could have water bottles. You can have the water filters, the really small ones. You'd have your whole family's water. There's bug out bags, kits that are that you're good for 72 hours with those. So like 3 days you're set to go for your whole family. There's for there are bigger ones, smaller ones. You can make your own. Basically, all your basic needs in a book bag,
Yep.
and that's the whole idea of it. If something happens, you have to leave the house. You're not gonna have time to look for all the medicines and everything that you need. You would have a bug out bag that is ready to go, and you just pick it up and leave, and
Yep.
you have everything in there,
I
extra in
know,
there.
yeah, and I know some guys that actually carry one of those with them in their car all the time, and it's designed to be on the go. If they get in an area where they can't come back home, they they have a way to survive for a while until they can get back home.
So this is our book goes into more depth about these, but um, a great resource is also our website, lifeprep.com, which actually has a lot of bug out bags for different sizes, different families. However, different prices. Feel free to go check it out, because you probably it'll help you understand what size to probably get for your family, and whether you're single or a family makes a huge difference, right? You can't
Yeah,
have a little bug out bag that's just for you and have 5 kids. So
yeah,
I would urge you to check out lifeprep.com for that. We have a lot of options there.
and
Let's
we
just
try to
keep
make it
going.
very. Yeah, we just wanted to make it very easy for people. In our book, it actually has links on each category that you don't have to, research it so much yourself. It's stuff that we already have good experience with, and that you could just, buy in that certain category. So we try
Yeah,
to make
like
it very.
water purification tablets. They have a link. You just click it, and then it goes directly to Amazon.
Awesome. Yeah. So the book kind of is a great guide and guides you even to the products
Yeah,
you want to buy.
it's easy.
Yeah. By all means, but you can also go to our website, and they have a lot of these resources there. That's we're very passionate about this, and that's why we put this resource together. The next thing, real quick, we want to kind of wrap this up here in the next few minutes. A beginner's like list, shopping list. It sounds like you should. I think we kind of touched upon this. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Well, we have a checklist. Actually, that's one of the uh, materials that you can download from our website. There's an actual checklist that you can get, and you go over everything. And again, just walk around your house, see what's missing out of this whole comprehensive list. You just go and make a list, and go out, and on each category you'll see what's missing. I mean, you can just go with your family over, take your
Yep.
family around and say, what do we have? We don't have this stuff.
Yeah, so that's a good point, David. We do have an emergency preparedness. It's a checklist, which basically walks you through what you need to do. It's just
Yeah.
a checklist, not just we have a manual as well as a checklist, and it kind of walks you through what to buy and stuff like that. We'll put all the links of these things we talked about in the description of this video of this podcast. All right, very good. Let's go to the next, bartering skills. What is that all about?
So basically, if things go really bad, so this is beyond a week or two of no power, and maybe there's a civil unrest, and crazy inflation and all these things where um, dollars won't matter anymore. What actually is, and even if they do matter, people will need other things other um, than dollars.
So you could
Very good.
trade. Basically, you have something that is valuable, and you trade. You can get yourself some silver, or even any kind of precious metal type stuff. You can start off with that. I mean, sometimes just stuff that people would want in those bad times, they're missing, their favorite candy or whatever. They'll trade something for that because they can't get it at the store anymore. Um, so there's just all kinds of things that, just think about what people are using every day and what you could stack up, and then you trade for. And also skills. You have a skill, that's another barter way. You can trade. I can fix this thing if you give me some kind of food or whatever, and there's going to be people offering certain things. So
People are still going to need haircuts.
Okay, very
To
good.
that
I
point.
think that's you know something most people wouldn't think about. Hey, I got to think about in certain situations. I might have to kind of go back to the old ways of bartering. So keep that in mind. That's a powerful thing. I would say negotiating is kind of part of that. Learn how to negotiate. Learn how to think on your feet, because you'll have to in these scenarios if they happen. You can't just sit there and wait because I don't have anything and I don't have idea. You have to think about these now. Be prepared to do whatever it takes to prepare, to really defend your family and to take care of your family. That's what we want to prepare you for. So, all right, very good. The last thing we want to talk about, sort of the last chapter that our survival guide covers, is the mental preparedness. Um, let's touch upon that real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up this session.
yeah, I think fear is a big enemy, and um, that's not what we're here to, like, put fear of the disasters are coming and all this crazy stuff. But if they do come, and we've all had different situations that were a surprise, you want to be prepared for those situations, and the more you are prepared, the less stressful it is, and the less fear that your whole family has. They're just going to be comfortable, understanding that this is okay. This, we already talked about this. um this is happening, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, like, okay, we have everything that we need, and we're going to be okay. We don't have to call 911 because they might not be coming. We don't, you cannot depend on the government help that they're going to come and rescue you, because there's situations that it's overwhelming. The whole system is just in chaos. You're going to
Yeah.
have to figure it out. Like you said, you have to be up on your feet about that.
Yep. I, we probably want to stay positive, and I think that's one of the. It's really easy to get very depressed, and you can't do that in a scenario when your family depends on you. Maybe you can do it in your mind, but you can't make it known to people. So I think what we're saying is the best way to prepare for that situation is to probably practice ahead of time,
Hmm.
own and understand these concepts now. So
Yeah.
you can have a positive mindset and know how to pass that on to others that'll need it in that moment, right? Your
Yeah.
family, your wife, your husband, whatever, your neighbors,
Hmm.
right? So that's what we're saying. I think that ties into what we touched upon earlier, like practicing these things and almost like put yourself in those scenarios so you know how to react, and that'll help you take off some of this nervousness edge
Yeah.
if things were to happen.
And have some, even, I know it sounds funny because you're not really thinking, oh, in the worst case scenario we need entertainment, but hey, now everybody's used to having entertainment that's plugged in, phones, TV, whatever, all these things. If you don't have those, what are you going to do to pass the time, to have fun, like you said, to keep a positive attitude? And think about
Yeah,
your
because
kids. They have to be ready to just do some, yeah, old school entertainment, board games, chess, whatever, just to
there may be times in these times where you actually have nothing to do. You're not going to work anymore. You're trying to survive. Your work is gone. You just don't know what else to do. Like pull your hair out. You're gonna have to find a game to do with your kids. Like chess. All kinds of different things that you can, board games or whatever. Have something ready, and some variation, so you're not just playing the same game over and over.
Um, you know, you brought up some folks are asking us, why do you guys have games on your website that has to do with
yeah,
emergency preparedness? And this is why, because there is scenarios where if you have kids, you have to entertain them, uh, because like you won't be able to last in shelter if they're going crazy, and many times you won't be able. Maybe there's a scenario you can't go outside.
yeah,
So you got to figure out how to pass time there. And if you have a 4-year old like I do, you can't just tell them, well, you have to wait. You have to be patient. It doesn't work. So you got to come up. You got to have some, like you said, some maybe some games that definitely don't have any screens or or anything like that.
yeah,
That's an important aspect that honestly I didn't even think about, but it is really important. And yeah, being a dad, I realize that is very important. Otherwise, you're gonna go crazy, and the kids,
yeah,
even if you survive this, then maybe mentally you won't survive it. So
yeah,
very good, guys. Those are some really good tips. Folks, we encourage you to check out our website, lifeprep.com, where we have a ton of these resources. More importantly, as sort of a comprehensive guide that we pretty much kind of went through in a very summarized way. Check out our survivors guide. We also have an emergency preparedness list. It's going to be below in the description. Check it out. We hope you got a lot out of this. Thank you guys for the input, and hopefully, as we like to say, if one person or one family somehow survives an emergency because of this talk, it would be more than you can ask for. So
Yeah.
until next time, thank you so much for being with us.
That's all the time we have for today on A Life Prepped. However, remember, whether you're a seasoned prepper or just getting started, Life Prepped is here to help you be prepared for anything in any emergency. For more tips, tricks, and expert advice, head on over to our website at lifeprep.com. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our social media channels. We'd really love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Also, join the conversation or continue the conversation using the hashtag LifePrepped. Till next time, have a great day.